Alumni of UW-Whitewater, graduated in 2017, so I'm not too far removed. So I started with Northwestern Mutual when I was a sophomore, second semester sophomore is when I first started talking to them, and then my first summer was the summer before my junior year. So I was an intern for 2.5 years before I went full time. I think the reason I took the internship, quite honestly, with why I did it was a good resume builder in my mind. Whether I ended up at Northwestern down the road or not, I figured it was something that would look good, knowing they're one of the top 10 internships in the country. And so being a little younger, I did that, and I had some success. And so then I actually did it the whole year, and then that second summer and that whole second year of my senior year, because once I figured out that I was pretty good at what I was doing, I was like, okay, I need to make sure this career is for me. And I think that's the best part about the internship, is you're truly test driving the career that I am in today. You're not getting copies or doing different things for an advisor. You get to be essentially a representative of the company even while you're in college. So I think that was the coolest part, is getting to test drive the career. In that second year, I took it really seriously. They even got me securities license while I was in college, and I got to do a lot of cool things. And that's ultimately what led me to go full time. And that was, I've never had another job, I guess you could say, but what the internship really did for me was lay down the foundation for what I'm doing today, and it really gave me a head start of people that come and start fresh. I had a client base started. I had a lot of licenses done, and I understood the business coming into going full time. So the day of my job is unique because it is something that takes a lot of discipline, but there's really you make your own structure, right? And so for me, Mondays, and if I'm working on Fridays, are my days that I'm gonna be in the office really doing administrative type work. The other part of being an advisor is I'm on the management team, and so I'm able to grow my younger advisors, and I'm talking to them a lot of the Mondays and Fridays. And then on Mondays and every day of the week, I'm still making sure I'm doing my touch points to clients or new prospects. So I'm making sure that I'm reaching out to the proper amount of people I want to talk to every day to still start to make those connections with people in the community or who I'm chatting about or with. So Tuesday through Thursday, I'm pretty much meeting with people all day, and it's solely client focused, especially from about 8 to about 5:30 p.m. are my hours of pretty much just doing meetings. And then there's usually about an hour during the day. When I first got started, it was really every morning I was making sure I was getting calls in, but now it's really when I have a free time in my day, or if I have something reschedule, I'm going to use that time to make my phone calls and follow up on emails and touch base with my staff, to see what else, I need to follow up on during those days. And then, Fridays are really, going back to Monday and talking with my team and getting some administrative stuff done, and what do we need to follow up on. So the clients that I typically work with are two main markets. I would say the first one is the medical market. So do a lot of physical therapists, physician assistants, and then younger attending physicians, a lot of them we meet in their residency, and then when they graduate, they're people we like to work with because they're busy. They respect having a professional help them, and there's a lot of things that they should be looking at a young age. And then my other market is really trades professionals, or just people in unions in general, because there's a lot of unique planning that they're able to do around their pensions and things of that nature. I would say a majority of my client base is younger individuals, so we'll say from about 25 to 40, and then there's a little gap, I guess, from 40 to 50, and then the other, probably half of the client base is in approaching retirement or in retirement. So this is one of the planning analysis we ran as an example. It's not a real person, so that's good. But the plan for somebody in retirement is going to look much different than somebody just starting out. So the majority of the one I'm going to show you is mainly, if we start doing stuff today, what's that going to look like projected out? And then the other, for somebody in retirement, it's actually going to say, okay, you've done all this stuff. Now what's it look like when you're going to start taking the money out? So, all right, so the first thing I'm going to go over with them, and this is information that I had already gathered from our last conversation with them, but I just always want to double check it. So looks like Brianna has $3,500 in her savings checking account. She's got, she must have some sort of 401k or Roth out there because she's got $8,800 of qualified investments. And then we got her liabilities up there, which are her student loans and her credit cards. And it actually shows some of the insurance planning that she's done already. So the first module we show in our planning analysis to somebody younger is the impact if something happened to them. So there's a lot of financial, I would say probably every financial book that you can read out there is going to tell you to protect your income as a young person before you even start investing. And the reason for that is say you're making $50,000, over the next 20 years, if that client or that young person never gets a raise and inflation never happens, they're worth $1 million, right? So we want to make sure that we can protect that, because most likely, their income's going to continue to grow. They just went through school. They have some debt. We want to make sure if anything ever happens to them, and I know disability in some people's minds, it goes to crazy places, but it doesn't have to be something that extreme. And so we just want to always make sure that if we're making a paycheck and earning a paycheck, that if something happens that we're able to continue to have that come in. So this first graph, the green line showing, if nothing happens, if Brianna continues to work and, has a perfect life, that's what her income would look like. And then it shows, even for a temporary period of time, not being very long, the red line is saying what the income impact would look like over a period of time if she's not able to work. So, that gap is what we really want to make sure is covered. And a lot of that plan's done through a lot of people's places of employment with the long-term disability, but they're able to supplement that. So that's a huge piece we touch on because it's something for young people that's not very expensive, but it's something that's really, really important at a young age. So that's the first module we're going to show is laying the foundation and really protecting the machine, I call it. Or if you had a tree in your backyard and that Mr. or Mrs. client's making $50,000, I'm going to say, is it worth making sure that we pay $30 a month to protect that the other, at the end of the year, that tree is going to still pump out $50,000, right? So after I show the plan, I show this picture, or I'll just draw it freehand because I think this does the best job of explaining everything the client could potentially be doing out there. And It shows annuities, investments, their 401k or IRAs, Roth money, whether that's in their 401k or Roth IRA, life insurance money, pension, Social Security. And so the reason I show this is because so many people don't realize that there are this many places to put money. And the first one, I always just ask them, which ones have you heard of? And usually they'll tell me their pension, Social Security, and the one they most oftentimes say is the 401k. And then I just ask them and I say, okay, and what age can we touch the 401k at? And they'll tell me age, they might not know. Maybe they say, 65. And so we tell them that it's 59 and a half. So if they're really good savers, retiring at 60 would make a lot of sense. And when we put money into the 401k, I always ask them if it's taxed or not taxed up front. And I would say about 50% of the time they know and 50% of the time they don't. And I always just tell them that it's not taxed up front. It's actually deducted from their pay. So if Brianna's making $50,000 and she puts in $5,000 to her 401k, she's actually going to get the write down that year that she only made $45,000 on taxes because she gets deducted up front. And then I ask, okay, well, when do you think you pay that tax? And they say, well, probably down the road. And I say, yep, you're really kicking the bucket of tax down the road. And I ask them what rate they think that'll get paid at, and they say, well, whatever it's at that time. And so that what they're usually trying to express is that it's going to be ordinary income tax. So since we deducted it up front, we're going to pay ordinary income tax on the back end. And for most clients, that's going to be anywhere from about 20, and the highest rate today is 37%. So we explain the 401k is good because you're not going to pay tax today. You are going to pay tax tomorrow. And it's a bucket we always want to do because we're getting a match, right? That's the best part of it. But down the road, we're going to pay some taxes. And then we talk about the Roth bucket, and that one we talk about is just the opposite, right? And a lot of times people actually have this option in their 401k now. And the reason I'm pointing it out is, a lot of young people come to me and they want to talk about Roth IRAs. And if I can help them do it in their 401k, then there's a way that they didn't even have to pay me to have me provide them value. So the Roth, they're not going to pay tax, or they are going to pay taxes today, and then down the road, because they already paid tax, that money is going to come out tax-free of, basis first. So, the way I explain it to them, if somebody's making $50,000 and they're projected to continue to move up in their career, is I'm going to say, are you going to be making more money now or in the future? And they say in the future. I always say our tax is going to go up or down most likely. And they usually say, well, I think they're going to go up. And so I say, is it better then to pay the tax now or later? And they always say now. So, really my whole goal is to get them to see that, most likely in their situation, they're going to want to pay the tax on the seed rather than the harvest. So that's the main point of this page, is to get them interested and really help them understand that they have some really good stuff at work and they might not even be fully utilizing all the options they have. And then it allows me to dive into the rest of this page and help them do things, whether it's, permanent life insurance at Northwestern, or, helping them understand how their pension's going to work. And, some of these buckets are tied to the market and they're going to go up and down every day. Some of this stuff, is going to have steady growth. So, really this page can help us a lot. And this is what I use with young people at the end of the day, to say, here is everything out there and how do these things work together, and not just to have everything in one bucket like most people do when they retire, and that be in their 401k or IRA, and then pay a bunch of tax. So I would say the biggest impact the coronavirus has, really two things. One, the market dropping. So getting a lot of calls from clients just wondering if everything's going to be okay. And, it actually positions us well to say, you're in a really good spot, being younger if they are. If you can, put more money in while the market's down here, and making sure that, going back to some of the things we've put in place with them that are fixed or have, guarantees on them to make sure they're going forward, and reminding them why those are important for these situations. And then the second thing that has been most difficult is really just not being able to meet with anybody. I would say the reason that our team does pretty well with clients is because we are good in front of people and we can show them a lot of unique things, and you can still do that virtually, but it's a little bit harder. We do a lot of stuff via GoToMeeting and phone call already, but we do like to meet clients in person at least once, to shake hands and do that. So that's probably been the two biggest challenges, is obviously the market being down, and really just making sure people know we're there for them. And then secondly, dealing with the fact that everything's virtual right now, and we can't we can't just go shake hands with people and meet new people. So it hasn't really affected my existing client base, but it's definitely harder to get in front of somebody new to just say up front, yeah, let's not even meet. Let's just do a computer meeting. So.